Welcome to the first episode of Reconsider, Read Some Literature with Jade
and Antoinette.
Exactly. Hello. We are really excited to be here. We're very excited to be sitting here with you all as grown ladies discussing very important things. You all already saw the preview, so there's no need for suspense. We're talking about the coldest winter ever, okay? This is actually, it's just a coincidence that this happened at the same time the sequel was announced, because Antoinette and I have been talking about this for how long, Antoinette?
We've been talking about this at least for 2 years, a hood book club.
Yes, actually 2 years. So at this point, we are finally here. We want to first and foremost thank Crown Royal. This is powered by Crown Royal. So today, we're actually having hot toddies with Crown Royal. Baby, it's cold outside. And so we're going to have some hot toddies, and we're very excited about it. But we want to thank Crown Royal for being a part. And we want to thank all of you for joining us. So now that we got all that stuff out of the way, Antoinette, get to the getting.
Well, chapters 1 and 2.
Yes.
This is a really... before we get into it, I just have to point out how this book starts. The first sentence is, "I never liked Sister Soldier," straight up. And I was like, so immediately you just get a sense of what you're about to dive into.
Yeah,
then
chaos and negativity.
Then the second paragraph, there's a line that says, "I came bursting out of my mama's big coochie on January 28th, 1977. And it's just like, oh, okay.
I made a note of that. And it wasn't because she came busting out of her mother's big coochie. It was because, first of all, if Noah ever described me like that, so hello, listeners, I have a child, her name is Noah. If she ever described anything about me as big coochie.
Big coochie. Big coochie, baby.
I came busting out of my mother's big coochie.
Child, incontinence. Anyway.
But I wanted to note, actually, that winter is an Aquarius, which is a very important... It's a very important fact that we need to know throughout the entire read. I love Aquarius. Okay? My partner is an Aquarius. And I love women Aquarius.
They are headstrong.
But winter is an unevolved, youthful Aquarius. I want us to keep that in mind as we continue forth with this read. Carry on, Antoinette.
So we need to first establish where we are. So we are in Brooklyn, and she was born in 1977, which around the time when the book starts, when we're really getting into it, she's like preteen, coming into her puberty. So now we've reached like the late 1980s. And then
boom of crack.
Hello. And then we're going into the 1990s. We are in Brooklyn, in the PJs, in the projects. She doesn't specify where in Brooklyn, but to me it sounds like Bed-Stuy.
Same. I knew it wasn't Flatbush because I knew her homegirl who lived in Flatbush based upon the cuisine that she said they like to partake in when they would get together with the cocoa bread and the beef patties, which I could use right now, actually.
Ciao. So they live in the projects, but they are not just any family in the projects. They are the family. They are basically royalty of the PJs. Let's get into the characters. Winter. I would describe Winter as very complex, headstrong. I would say she is definitely a product of her environment. She is easily influenced, but she thinks she knows who she is because her world right now is so small. Because all she knows is like her castle and like the throne that she sits on within that community. And we'll get into when she actually leaves that community and how she feels.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you want to add to Winter?
Oh, no, honey. You are taking it away and I agree.
I hate you. Then we have her daddy. Her daddy sounds kind of fine. That's a toxic trait of me.
And I think she thought her daddy was fine too, which is another conversation.
She definitely did.
We can talk about that psychology at another point in time.
Ricky Santiago. He is commanding. He is powerful. He is feared. He is a mastermind. He is problematic as fuck. He is seemingly very loyal to Winter and Winter's mother. And Winter's mother, interestingly enough, is only referred to as Mama and a big coochie. Which there's no name. And I thought that was super telling. I said, all of these characters have names, but her mom. And I think we'll get into why I think that. You can share your opinion. And then we have her sisters. It's like the twins. They all named after cars. I don't remember. Portia,
Lexus, and Mercedes. Honey.
And then she's got another sister that's younger than her as well.
That's Portia.
And
okay, then so Lexus and Mercedes are the twins.
So you're getting an idea of the family's dynamic and what matters to them. Then we have Midnight. It's almost unfair for me to try to describe Midnight because I have dreamt about him since I was in the 8th grade after reading this book and being like, I got to find me a Midnight child. Okay, so I probably putting on so much shit that is not in this book onto him. What?
So as you reread this, right? Okay, so you read this in the 8th grade and now you're reading this now at 30 and some change.
3. It's fine.
There you go. Okay. How would you describe Midnight now?
The same. Fine. Midnight. Okay, so like Midnight works for child. I don't care. Midnight works for. I'm a young puma. I'm like not a cougar yet. I'm a little puma coming after him. He works for her daddy. And her daddy is a drug dealer, but he's not on the corner. He's the mastermind behind everything. People work for him. He's probably never in rooms with drugs. He's probably never in rooms like he's like Avon, if you were in The Wire. Yeah. And Midnight.
It's a very good comparison.
Yeah, Midnight is a young lieutenant who Winter's father is very impressed with. Winter's father is not easily impressed by anyone, but he likes the young man because the young man is just about his business. He keeps himself up really nicely. He is described as dark as midnight with his skin complexion. He is described as an athletic build. He's a basketball build. He's got veiny forearms. He plays He does play basketball.
Did she say he was bald-headed? Or did I
think he was a milk dud, but it could be our imagination taking over.
Because I'm seeing this, very much this. This is the top of my water bottle, but
I'm seeing a whole lot of tops, but shout out to Midnight. So Winter is attracted to Midnight. He's a little older than her. He is older than her.
5 years.
She's 5 years older than her. So she's a little... By the middle of the first chapter, she's like 14. So that means he's like 19. Midnight pays this girl no mind. Winter tries to get his attention with her attitude. She decides to like suck her teeth at him. She's dressing in a way like super provocative. She said the more she tried to get his attention, the less he even looked her way. Yeah. Which he's just not with the shits. Right. He's like, I am about my work. I am not about to fuck with your daddy. Because her father...
In my business.
Hello. And her father has also given somebody $1.50.
Yep. Straight across the jaw.
Just for looking at Winter. So that's the kind of fear.
While this nigga was supposed to be installing a safe.
He was looking at his daughter. So, what happens in chapters 1 and 2? Really, we're meeting characters. We're finding out who the protagonists are. We're finding...
Yeah, come on, protagonist. Come on, vocabulary.
Thank you. It's a book clubbish.
I love it. Yes, protagonist.
But basically, we're getting all the background. And what's so good about this book is that Sister Soldier, immediately you know who these people are. Mama doesn't even have a name, and I know who Mama is. Like, you just know who these characters are. You know who the dad is. You know who the mom is. You know who Winter is.
She's Janice Combs.
I would agree with that. But she probably a little finer. I don't think she looked like her.
Yeah, but she was like, because she said, Mom's had on full zebra. Let's use zebra. She said, and if she had on full zebra, she had on zebra boots, she had on zebra coat, she had on zebra dress, she had on zebra nails.
Ciao.
And I said, this is the most hood rich shit I've ever heard. And
it's definitely hood rich. It's definitely hood rich. But I think what's really interesting about this is, like, we laugh at it, but there is absolutely a culture, a prominent culture where, like, we
absolutely,
you know, if you're not in it, you can look down on it. You could be like, oh, you know, they ain't got no sense, they this, they that, and you can be really dismissive of it. But
no,
while the family unit and the community, the village, right, because that exists everywhere, or not, but definitely within the projects, you have a code. And it's like an unwritten kind of thing that everybody just understands and operates accordingly. And while it's toxic, a lot of times it upholds the patriarchy.
Absolutely.
And
which is what was happening between Santiago and how he was running his business, and how that village was a part of that business via family and friends, employing husbands and boyfriends and babies' fathers and so forth and so on.
I thought it was so interesting. Like, the way that she describes her mom and dad, like, her mother, again, was 14 when she had Winter. Let's keep that in mind. So her mom was a young mother. So she's only, if Winter's 14, she's 28, still figuring shit out. She's 28 with all these kids. By the drug dealer dude. And, like, her whole rhyme and reason, I think, for existing is to just be a bad bitch. This is Mama. Like, Mama just wants to be a bad bitch, hold her man down, and manipulate him when and if she needs or wants something that he hasn't already offered her, right? Santiago controls the money, and therefore he makes all of the family decisions. Like, every single one of them. It's
down to where they live.
It is probably the most, it's so disempowering. But the interesting part about it is Mama feels so empowered because she has this man. So that gets you into, like, self-worth. Like, I found that Winter and her mother's, their only means of, like, establishing self, like, actualization and control was rooted in how they could control men with sex, with beauty, and with allure.
Right.
And so in actuality, like, they were not empowered at all because everything was reliant on whoever they were attached to.
Which also is a conversation because that narrative has not left, right? We see it today, which is why hopefully we're constantly speaking to our young girls about self-empowerment. But also we see a theme a lot with our past movies and books and real life in general. You take it to Waiting to Exhale, He's a Good Man, Savannah. All of these same narratives, these same tropes that it don't matter what a nigga is doing, as long as you got him, you're good.
Yeah.
That is something that I'm loving seeing the narrative change as time goes on. But this book speaks to those times in addition to how we need to talk to our young girls. But please continue.
I also thought it was interesting. I was thinking about, like, hot girl shit, because she talks about bad bitches, like that was the hot girl then. And she says, only dumb girls let love get them delirious to the point of where they let things that really count go undone. And the things that really count were the gifts, the money, the the bling, all of that
could be done for you. Right.
Exactly. Then she writes, having a relationship is out. Getting emotionally involved is out. Taking him seriously is out. And so that's where she's talking about the guy that you can have who's broke, but you can only have him on the side if he's dicking you down right, versus the money man who you do what you got to do to get what you need to get by, and to basically he needs to trick on you. Which is it's not a new conversation, right? Like,
no, it's not.
This has been, and then I also thought about hotels, and I was like, I was just considering the possibilities of them being connected. And I was like, I would like to invite people to just think about it and think about if it is connected. I don't know what you think about that.
Let's come back to that conversation.
Okay.
Let's keep with the lay the story out.
Okay.
And then
let's lay the
come
story
back
out
to the conversation.
So
yes.
I mean, again, we're just getting to know the characters, but what happens is something is going on where Santiago her father feels like, I'm getting too big for the projects.
There's a shift.
And he's not saying that anybody's after him, but something's going on where, like, he already has a reinforced door. Nobody's allowed in their apartment. It's like a steel door. There's like a little pathway where that's where they talk, and they can't come any further. Like, he has shit set up where, he's been good. But now he's like, we out. Not only are we out, but we're not taking anything, and we're not telling anyone.
Nope.
We are moving to Long Island.
Not even our closest family and friends can know. Like, you don't utter a word to anybody.
Right. So they move to Long Island. They just leave all their shit. He moves the family to Long Island in this big, beautiful house, which results in the biggest culture shock for both Winter and her mother. And so Winter is doing anything she can to feel like herself again. It's like you take a fish. It's like when you take like an animal out of its environment and then you put them in like somewhere else. It's supposed to be better for them.
Especially after they are all the way socialized in this environment.
Right.
So you're taking this girl, and she's what, at this point 16 years old or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you're taking her and putting her in a whole stranger. She don't even know how to get around.
Right.
She don't know how to find the bus. None of that.
Right. The closest neighbor is like, what'd she say? Like a mile down the road or something.
A mile away.
Like, she was like, they wouldn't give you no sugar even if you asked for it, because they'd be like, why don't you have
no
your
cigarettes?
Own? Nothing, baby. So she's lonely, and then she's just like determined by the end of it to figure out a way to get herself back to Brooklyn as often as possible. Mama has found a solution in fucking Santiago until he agrees that she can have a weekly party on Saturday nights at the house and invite whoever she wants. And that party is literally, it's not just for her to feel community and for her to feel like and have companionship. That party is to gloat. That party is to be like,
show off.
Look what, because that was
she's like, look what the fuck I got. Well, you don't.
She said it. I mean, Winter said in here at some point that her mom has said, like, what good is it? What good is it to have all this shit if you can't put it in people's face? Like, you supposed to, if you're a bad bitch, you have to walk around here and people have to want what you have. And if they don't, then you're slacking, boo boo.
Yep.
It's so
she said she said that to her father. She was like, how am I can't show my shit off. What's the point of it?
Exactly.
So child.
So that's it. There's not much plot in these first two chapters.
No.
We're just getting to know who people are. Speaking of Winter's mom, though, I want you to give me I want you to talk about her not having a name and what that could possibly symbolize.
So I noticed a couple things here. First and foremost, it was not only the fact that her mother did not have a name or was not introduced to us with the name, because maybe it comes later on. Girl, I read this book 20 years ago. so it is, as I'm reading, it's like I'm reading with complete fresh eyes. But there's the fact that her mother doesn't have a name and that she bigs up her father so much. Yeah. You know, and she doesn't speak about her mother in a negative connotation ever, but it's very much along the lines of, my mom whispered in my ear, be a bad bitch. Right. She's like, but my daddy, my Santiago says bitch. This. That's her bad bitch. And so now another thought that I had in noticing that her mother didn't have a name in this book, I wondered if, Sister Soldier, if you get wind of this, you're more than welcome to hit us up to come have this conversation. Because, girl, we just got we can't do nothing but assume. But I wondered if that was intentional.
I think it was. But go ahead.
Okay. I wondered if it was intentional or if it wasn't intentional. And then I wanted to explore the theme on why the mother did not have a name. And why you didn't think to give the mother a name. But if it was intentional, I do think it was because they wanted to focus more so on how much her father influenced her. And how much her father, to the point where she wanted to be with her father. The man that she wanted to be with was going to be just like her father. She wanted to be her mother, but it's not that she wanted to be her mother. She wanted to be with somebody like her father.
Yeah. I also think that I think it was completely intentional that the mom doesn't have a name. I don't think you write a story, like the first thing you do is you write the names of the characters. And the fact that like the twins have names.
This is true. This is true.
And the twins have very specific names to give you an idea. Lexus, Mercedes, to give you an idea of what this family is about. I think Mama doesn't have a name because she doesn't have a true identity outside of being Santiago's wife.
Also, yes.
And I think that that's really the basis of it. I feel like if Winter I don't think has a real identity yet either, but it would be really hard not to give her a name. And the Coldest Winter Ever is like an amazing.
I know it's indicative,
right?
Because if we notice, also what I wanted to talk about was her complete disinterest in attending school.
Yeah.
Now,
and it was allowed. Her parents were like,
and it was permitted, right? And it wasn't permitted with a plan, because it wasn't permitted with the plan. It wasn't permitted with the okay, guys. So this is kind of a waste of my time. We all know I'm going to get involved with the family business. So she was aspiring to live the life that her mother lived.
That was the only thing that she knew. That's the only option I think in her mind is like, of course I'm gonna have somebody take care of me. Like, what are y'all talking about?
She's like, so this is a waste. If I can't go to school, if I ain't got an outfit to stunt with,
I ain't going.
Or it's not required of me, I'm going as much as I absolutely have to for them not to call it a loss.
Exactly.
Wow. Wild shit.
I also thought another interesting thing that I picked up was when Santiago was going crazy about Winter coming into her puberty and coming into her womanhood and developing her breasts and her hips and her ass and all these.
It was very T.I.
And he was like, oh, hell no. He was on his T.I. shit. But her mom was like, listen, I'm going to just put her on birth control because if a girl want to get fucked, she going to get fucked. And she was 14. And that was it. That was all she said.
Literally. She's like, she didn't talking about the responsibility of, and I'm not talking about that whole, this is your golden flower trope. No. I'm over that. I'm over it. Yeah, I'm over it because we are human beings. As women, we are human beings. We have bodies just like niggas
sexual
do.
Beings.
And niggas have been sexual. We are sexual beings. Oh, where have I heard that before? And we have, check out Hotels, Antoinette's Tale, shameless plug. But we are sexual beings from a young age. And we know we talk about this often, but we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the fact that why are men allowed to explore as young men and sow their oats and do all of these things, but then her daddy comes through and he's like, I'm not gonna have my daughter as the neighborhood, what do you call her, what do you call her?
I don't remember. Neighborhood something.
Hussy, whatever, something along those lines. I'm not raised in the neighborhood hussy, you better than that. Don't be with a nigga unless you don't deserve a nigga who gives you less than blah blah blah. But it was always based on material.
Always
things,
based
right?
on what somebody can give you, right?
Always.
Well,
always.
I think my interest in that was like there was no conversation with the girl, with a mom to a daughter about what to expect emotionally, and the whole emotional component about everything I think was stripped. Because we're living in this world where you have like more stuff and less feelings, right?
Right.
Even though they feel so deeply, which is why I would argue they're so deeply insecure in needing all this shit to prove their worth. But I don't live that life, so I shouldn't put insecurities on them. But that's just me looking in from the outside. But I also thought it was this idea of this disconnect, this emotional disconnect that the family has, despite the fact that they love each other, but they express love only through gifts. They express love only through loyalty, fighting. And Santiago, I think, expresses it to Winter, but it only goes so far. You're only going to get so deep, because even when he tells them that they're moving, he does it by giving her a card. And she was like, my family don't do this. Like, we don't get cards and write shit down. Like, this is weird. What the fuck? And then you open the card and it's like a picture.
Surprise, we moving to Long Island.
Right. And that's it. I bought a house. No questions asked. We out in 2 weeks. Don't say nothing. Whatever.
Right. Like, it's bought. Like, this is not here for us to discuss as a family. None of that. Like, this is done. This is it.
No, there's no discussion. But also,
she said that too at a point. She said, you don't question Santiago. It's the first time, she said.
She said it was the first time she questioned him because she asked him why. And he was like, because, and I thought it was interesting the way he answered. You can tell that he's hiding something. Like, something's not right, but he's just like, this is what our family deserves, and you're going to have a better life, and people are going to be so jealous and all this bullshit. But I do want to talk about power, and power, specifically how women and men find power and harness it, and what we find to be attractive through that. Because I have to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, when I see a man and this is probably a toxic trait, but when I see a man that is about his shit, that people have like reverence for, that is in my mind powerful. Like, oh, I'm attracted to that, and it's like a primal thing of like, wow, absolutely. I would feel safe with that person. Like, I would feel like they got me, and there's also like a sense of pride of like, wow, look at him, damn. And I'm with him. Ooh, like, it's a turn on. And so,
which is,
go ahead. Right. Which is like,
it's so problematic.
It's so proud. Is it? Because it's like, I know that it is, but then I'm also like, because like, there's amazing, beautiful, passive men that have power, but they just harness it different. I think the man that I'm so used to is that alpha male energy.
That alpha male.
Which is, that can be very toxic. But I can't front. But girl, you sit here talking about me, but I know your husband.
I was talking about us, honey. I'm like, I'm just making sure that I acknowledge a thing. That's what it is. Okay. I'm like, I already recognize, listen, I've had these conversations with homegirls, and let's be clear, this book club is not here for us to we are exploring shit from these points of views, from our point of views, right? We want everybody to be able to chime in from their standpoint, but this is our point of view, so this is what it is. Sometimes, you know, a lot of times and through history, we have liked raggedy ass niggas. and toxic ass, problematic ass niggas. And we have to acknowledge that this is a problem, but this is a trait. This is something that we have been exhibiting for years.
Speak for yourself. Anyway, and then we can get into power within women. And power within women, we already touched on this, but at least in this world, it's all based off of beauty and sex appeal, and
absolutely
how much you can manipulate a man into a powerful man, not just any man. Because she talks about the sucker that she met in Chinatown who, you know, was just working behind a cash register, and she was like, every time he got paid, I got paid, but there was no way I was bringing him the fuck out in these streets because he was broke, but he had good dicks or whatever. But that's the dude that I'm not claiming. Which I'm just like, she's like it's really 15. Talking like this. I know,
out here. I was like, yes, go off, Lori Harvey. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
You know what?
The power of the pussy is a real thing. Let's be very clear.
But let's talk about that because Lori Harvey... I like Lori Harvey. I don't know that child from Can of Paint, but I'm like, yeah, girl, date. Fuck it.
You are a young woman. Live your best life. And be out here.
If these are the types of men that are coming after you, if somebody want to buy you a Lamborghini, well then, I know that my crazy.
What you gonna say? No.
My crazy ass would, because I'm always like, what do they think they are holding over me? But like, I aspire to be that girl that's like, and not the girl that's like, you got a trick and where I'm deceiving men, but where if there was a man that wanted to like lavish me with gifts, I want to be able to say, oh, thank you, instead of like, why are you giving me this? What do you want? What does this mean?
Because niggas don't do that. You give them something and they take it.
You just preach. Wait a minute. I'm thinking
they do. Like, you give a nigga a gift and he thank you so much. You had what's the girl, and they not even together no more now. What's her name? Denile and the baby.
Ain't her name Danny?
They were whatever. It looks like Denile. And so they were, she bought the nigga, did she buy the nigga a car? She bought the nigga a car or something along those lines. Excuse me, the young man. She bought the young man a car. And
the king.
You see the video where he's just like, oh shit. And all his homeboys like, oh shit. Oh, look at this. And it's not like, look how much she loves you and bought this thing for you. It was all, he might as well have mushed her and moved her out the way while he admired this vehicle.
Really?
And he took the vehicle. I'm just saying, like, he was very excited to receive this vehicle.
Right.
And there wasn't a moment of hesitation where this nigga was like,
you're right.
Oh, man, this is a lot. And a lot of times we don't see it. And I'm not saying it's an issue, but why are you going to be hesitant if a nigga's offering you something?
That's the issue.
Take it. It's a gift.
Yeah, it's not an issue for men to like gifts and want gifts as well. But I'm also, because I think that...
My uncle said if somebody offers you a gift and you turn it down, that's rude. So...
Right, I guess.
I'm just saying.
Child. That points were made. Because I'm thinking about all of the little relationships that I've been in. They had no problem taking gifts, baby. They was like, oh, thank you.
I bought you these vinyls. I bought you this thing. I bought you this thoughtful book.
You are being,
you know what I'm saying? Antoinette
so specific right now.
No, I'm saying Antoinette is a thoughtful ass bitch. So whatever you into, this is what she's gonna get for you. Antoinette got me books, jewelry, whatever you're into. That's what she's gonna give you because her love language is to pay attention.
That is my love language. It ain't about me.
You're very detail oriented. Wow. You're very detail oriented. So and none of these niggas. And if any of you niggas watch these videos and you think that I'm talking about you, hit dogs holler. But all I'm saying is none of you niggas had any hesitation in taking a gift. So why are we giving it? Please. You want to buy me some AirPods? Thank you.
Not an AirPod.
I don't owe you nothing because you bought me some goddamn AirPods.
We went from a Lamborghini to an AirPod, child. Woo. Chalet.
Let me pump me up some more crown.
I drank mine and was like, this shit's strong up.
It's delicious.
As soon as I drank it, I was like, oh.
It's delicious.
Put a lot in there. So, Jade.
Yes.
In my last, little takeaway from these first 2 baby chapters, okay. I'm asking you to go into more detail because I don't think I have the language for it, but this idea of power and value being around people wanting what you have and your life being dedicated to protecting what you have, maintaining what you have, and building on it. And that's it. If that's the whole thing, because I'm planning a trip with a couple of friends, and it was so interesting to me when I was pinpointing places to go, and my one I won't say who it was, but one of my friends was like, oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, I wouldn't mind saying I'm going there. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what do you know about it? She was like, no, it just sounds like some shit. I'm going here. And I was like, I get that though too. I get that though. What is that in us? What is that thing? Because we all have it.
Being ashamed to say I'm going to Cancun versus I'm going to Bali. Is it something?
Bali was a spiritual experience.
No,
bitch.
I'm not saying. I'm like, does it sound better because you say you're going to Bali as opposed
it's
to
I'm going to
Atlanta or Atlanta?
Well, not even that. I think it's more like you don't know shit about the place, but it just sounds like people will be jealous or interested or impressed if you are going there or whatever it is.
That's just like I don't know what that is. That's a big insecurity because at this point now, what are you doing? You're not enjoying things for yourself. You're living for other people. And also, I'm sorry if I have to
bars
protect my life. I gotta protect my whole my whole life. I don't even get to really enjoy this shit because I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. I'm constantly trying to see who's hating on me. I can't even trust my family and my friends who supposedly work for me or what have you. What kind of village is that for real? What kind of life have you built?
Santiago is not happy.
He's not. But what are you putting out there in the world for you to even be living this kind of life? Are you a village for other people? I'm just saying.
Well, that's the other thing is that we didn't dive into it in these chapters yet, but people will, I'm sure, read this book. I read a couple of think pieces on it today, and people were just like, I mean, this drug dealer father, rah, 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 rah. And I get it, that's not an ideal occupation. But also, who
are you? What does your daddy do? So your father is what? You come from the middle of Bumblefuck, Michigan, and your father is an executive at GM, and you think that you have every right to speak on somebody else's experience because it's not the same as yours?
They're just as bad. I mean, if you're rich, that's my point, is that this is not limited. This kind of people try to put this materialistic mindset and outlook on life on just black folks and poor black folks, because usually when you don't have it, that's when you really, really want it. And you know how people are the richest people, you don't even know they're rich, and but they will fight tooth and nail to keep what they have. These Wall Street motherfuckers, these senators, all of these white collar businessmen and women, and baby, look at Trump and them. It's the same shit. It's just on a different
level. It's just on a different scale. It's just somewhere else.
It's just somewhere else, because the levels, I feel like the stakes are just as high. It's probably higher in the projects because it's life or death. Over there, it's just you might lose your second beach house.
Right.
You know?
Whereas this is their well-being. This is how they make their money. This is their life, the life that he's built. And I can understand how that also can cause a fear, right? When you rely on what's right there in front of you and what you got, and if that's gone, you ain't got shit else.
Nothing.
But people who have not dealt with that don't need to be speaking on that type of life, period.
Well, points have been made. I remember, and not to keep bringing back The Wire up, but I'll never forget when Marlo was like, my name is my name.
Mm-hmm.
And it broke my heart because I was like, oh my God, you're so much more than that. But I also think, going back to names, like Winter Santiago, like she says her whole daddy, Ricky Santiago, from like his name is his name rings out, and nobody's gonna fuck with me. And I know I used to love, because my dad was from West Philly, but he was a big old dude. Like his name was his name. I walk down the street, be like, oh, you Henry's daughter? You Jay Henry's daughter? I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay, say less. And I used to feel like, yeah, like it was the best feeling in the world. Toxic, but it's just so complicated and it's so complex. But there's a lot of pride associated with namesakes, associated with lineage, and generational wealth and things of that nature. And I don't think it's any different whether you're in the projects or whether you got a 9-to-5 and you're in a middle class family, or you're the Cosbys.
Right.
You know, like you still want a certain amount of status, respect, and honor behind who you are. And the rules are just different.
Because that's the social structure. The social structure stays the same. It just changes within whatever environment we in, right? That's usually what it is. But we have so much more to explore. That was just a little bit of what we have coming. So we're going to do 2 chapters bi-weekly. So basically that's 1 chapter a week. So you all have just one.
We're going to read 1 chapter.
Read 1 chapter a week, and we'll be back to discuss 2. That gives you all a solid 7 days for 1 chapter. We don't want to inundate your life. And we're going to figure out a way so that we can discuss this as a community. But Antoinette and I will be back bi-weekly along with our Crown Royal to discuss The Coldest Winter Ever. I'm so excited to just dive a little deeper into this. This was just a little scratch the surface.
Yeah, I think chapter 4 and 5 is when shit pops off.
Can't wait.
If I'm remembering.
Can't wait.
I think that's when it gets a
and
little
I can't
sketchy.
wait to confirm whether or not Midnight is bald-headed, because I just, in my mind.
I can't wait to read about him.
In my mind. You're not about to be lusting after this 18-year-old boy for the rest of this series.
Baby, he grown now. Read. This was, when was this written? He grown.
He is your daddy's
Midnight
age.
Is grown as fuck right now.
He's your daddy's age.
Well, baby.
This nigga was 20 in 87.
I'm here for it. Say less. Then he know. Apparently, she had a whole thing on Midnight.
Yeah, there was a whole book.
She had 3 books on Midnight's life.
Yeah, I didn't read them, but I know, cause he was a character. You know, he just sticks with you. We're gonna get into it though. I can't wait. I can't wait to keep diving into.
I will this shit out of Midnight. I'm sorry. Let's get off.
Okay, we'll see you all next time. Bye.